Hey chess lovers and friends, welcome back to Casper Chess. Today I've put together a special collection of the Williams Gambit for you. I noticed that many of you might have missed some of these amazing gems, so I have organized them all in one place for easy access. Stay tuned and enjoy. There's one amazing Gambit you probably never knew existed. It is called the Williams Gambit. This is where you begin with pawn to f4, arising from the bird opening, and after black plays the top played move pawn to d5. This is when you go e4. And now this is called the Williams Gambit, not the King's Gambit. After de, what you want to do is to go bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 pawn, and you will see how we take advantage of that. Knight f6 is the top played move, and then this is when you go pawn to d3. Now hold on, in this position there's a funny trick that I want you guys to always employ. You can see that the top played move is e takes d3, no jokes. This is what is in the Lichess database. But before black plays this move, I want you guys to always pre-move knight e2, so that ed can be met with knight e2 automatically. This will look like a mouse slip to most of your opponents. Trust me, with all your elbows, your opponents are going to take on e2 as well. Like this. Once this happens, just know you're winning due to bishop takes f7 sacrifice. After king takes, you then grab a free queen on d8. Anyway, out of shame, if black continues with knight c6 attacking your queen, just like in the Tennyson Gambit, never should you take on c7, you children of Hikaru. The move you always want to play is queen d3. Say, what's wrong with queen takes c7? Well, in this case, black is going to win after knight d5, trapping your queen instantly. See that there is no any safe square where your queen can go to. So always learn to control your appetite in chess. If you want to save your game, better go queen d3, and then from here it'll just be a matter of technique to convert and win. For example, you have queen c4 check. After pawn to e6, you start chasing your enemy's pieces out of your territory. This is the only thing you want to remember. I'm sure from here most of your opponents will retreat their bishop, after which you go bishop e3. Now you start developing all your pieces with tempo. There's no need to rush taking. That pawn is already a dead pawn if you think about it. But if you are really pressed, you can take and then bring in your other pieces. For example, after rook d8, you can just play pop. If knight e4, you don't cast a shot due to knight g3, so you go knight d2. Simple chess. If knight g3 comes anyways, you go queen f3. So there are all these things that black players will try on you, but never lose hope. Just exercise a bit of patience and continue playing with your queen. After f4 and pawn to d5, the top played move, you still go pawn to e4 anyways. And after d takes e4, what else do you know? You still go bishop c4. Now after knight f6, d3 and pawn takes, then knight e2. This time your opponent may not take immediately on e2, especially if they are advanced. You will see them playing something like pawn to e6, the second most played move on Lichess. Oh, okay, this time you're caught, but guess what? You haven't lost a piece, so you can just continue with your normal development. Now this becomes a normal gambit. So that you are just down a pawn. It is just a pawn. Don't worry, there's so much to care about in life. In this position, they will play something like bishop e7 or knight c6. And sometimes bishop c5, just stopping you from castling short. This is what most of the advanced players would play, I guess. Now, what I'll do here is to develop my other knight, and after castle short, the top played move, now I simply attack that useless bishop because I don't like it. I'm not just making up these stuffs, as you can see. Bishop b6 is the top played move, followed by bishop b4 check, and some people also play bishop d4, you can see that. So if bishop b4 check, what I advise is to block with your bishop rather than blocking with your stomach, and they'll probably take, after which you can simply take back with your queen. And now life becomes simple, by the way, because you're just one move away from castling long and continue sacrificing things on the king side to make your opponent very fast. After knight a4, bishop b6 is the top played move, followed by bishop b4 check. Note that bishop 4 doesn't work due to knight takes, and after queen takes, you simply have bishop takes h7, and you're going to win a free queen once again. After knight a4, most of the times they play bishop b6 anyways. This is a more practical move, after which you get rid of it and then you cast a shot. This is what you will be playing most of the times, and there is something very special that you can do. For example, after knight c6, now you can go queen e1. The idea is to shift your pieces to the king side. Say rook e8, you go bishop e3, or better fianchetto your dark squared bishop like this. e5, bishop b2, pawn takes, you simply go queen h4, and the game is back to to eco. You're going to take back and all that. If they play pawn to e4 attacking your light squared bishop, you go bishop b5. Bishop c4 is also fine, but bishop b5 pins the knight to the rook. Let's just say bishop g4. Here you go, knight g3. The game is just dead equal, as you can see from the eval bar. e3, h3, bishop d7, queen d1, queen e7, bishop takes f6, queen takes, oh, oops, rook takes bishop, a free piece. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website, kasperchess.com, that I highly recommend you get right now. The newly updated Semi-Slav defense against d4, the knight c6 Nimzowitsch defense, and the mighty e5 Paris defense, which is my best selling course till this date. Chess is a school on its own, and you will just need to show some efforts to unlock some secrets that content creators don't show on YouTube. And that's how you support this channel, by the way. After starting with the bird's opening, and then you go e4, then this, bishop c4, knight f6, and d3. Sometimes your opponents won't just take right away because they have a feeling you are up to something. So the move you're going to see in this position is bishop g4. The second most played move. Well, after this, again, what I recommend is just to go knight e2. Who are you? Where do you come from? Pawn takes, ha! You just removed knight bc3 as if you didn't see this attack. Once again, if pawn takes, you simply have bishop takes f7 check, and on the next move, win a free queen. Let's just say this time black takes on e2 with their bishop. Well, you can simply get back your piece like this. Pap, you're just okay. Once again, if d takes, you simply win a free queen like this, just like what we do in the tennis on Gambit. If they don't ever take on e2, the game may be back to normal. Say after pawn to e6, you just take back with your bishop, and after bishop c5 like we saw earlier, what do you do whenever you see bishop c5? In the Williams Gambit, you go after that bishop with knight a4, so that if bishop b6, you get rid of it and castle short. Then later on play queen e1, preparing to go to the king side. But anyways, if they play the top played move, bishop d4, well, now you can simply go h3. You don't want to entertain your enemy's pieces in your territory. They play h5. Now you go pawn to g4. After bishop g6, guess what? Black's dark squared bishop becomes a free piece, because if queen takes, now you have bishop b5 check, and you're going to win that poor queen. Where are the e4 lovers? Do we have any in the house? Watch. After you go pawn to e4 and black plays the Scandinavian defense. You know what? You can also go back to the Williams Gambit with the move pawn to f4. Look at you! What did you have for lunch? The whole idea is to allow black take on e4 as usual. Then you go bishop c4. Once again, after knight f6, you always want to play d3, hoping that they take. And by this time, you would have already pre-moved knight e2. That's what I said. But hey, don't be like a boring wife. Sometimes you need to spice up things. Here you can even go knight f3 if you want. Not always pre-moving knight e2. First of all, if black still takes on c2, you have the same tennis on Gambit trap with bishop takes, and after king takes, you win a free queen. Ha! I know what you're thinking. Black should not take on c2. They should play something like bishop g4. Well, this is even worse, as you can now play knight e5, sacrificing your queen this time. Because if they take, well, it's bye-bye for black. Oh, wait a second. What if black doesn't take your queen and say they play bishop e6? Because obviously the bishop is under attack twice. So if they play bishop e6, stopping you from checkmating them, well, you can just take pap. And after pawn takes, now this is when you take back on d3. Oh, of course not with your teeth, I mean with your knight. Next you want to castle short. If black tries to stop you like this, well, you have queen e2, and next you're going to play bishop e3 and castle short. Your b2 pawn is well defended by your d knight. Anyway, still in the Williams Gambit where you go f4, and after pawn to d5, the top played move, you still go e4, because this is the only thing you know. By the way, don't ask me what you should do if black doesn't take. It doesn't matter. If black doesn't take, that will just be a normal game. In fact, you will have an advantage. For example, if they play something like pawn to d4, see how the eval bar has gone all the way up after bishop c4. If c5, like what they do, you go knight f3. Again, if bishop g4, first there is this bishop takes f7 check. After king takes, you have knight e5 check, and then you're going to win back the bishop like this. For example, king e8. Here I would even take back with the queen, so that if knight f6, I resign. No, I go queen e6, and next mate. Anyway, so black just needs to take on e4, after which you go bishop c4 as usual. Now, instead of knight f6, which is the top played move, let's look at the second most played move, just in case you see it. Pawn to e6. what do you do after this? Look at the eval bar once again. The game is now close to equal as black is not doing anything. Anyway, this time you go knight c3, attacking that e4 pawn. You just want to get it back. If knight f6, you go queen e2. You just want to get it. I mean, black was not interested in the first place, so you just go after that thing. In this position, black plays queen d4 most of the times to hold on to their pawn, but this is when you go pawn to d3. Oh, there's pawn takes. Yeah, now we take back with our bishop. They'll play bishop b4, but there's bishop d2. Still, this is a gambit. Don't say we are down a pawn. I mean, we are still playing a gambit. That's why this is called the Williams Gambit. You're supposed to be down a pawn for quick development and piece activity. If they castle short, now you go knight f3. Queen b6, still preventing you from castling short. You castle long. That's the whole idea. And as you can tell by the eval bar, we are back to normal and white is slightly better in this position. Most people play knight c6, by the way, as you can see, but this turns out to be a mistake due to a3. If bishop d6, we have king b1 and say rook e8. Now we have knight a4, and all of a sudden black's queen is trapped. Maybe knight d4 helps, but after queen f2, I don't know what else black should do here. For example, if queen c6, saving their queen, also attacking the knight, here you can just go knight takes d4, attacking that queen one more time. If queen takes a4, you still have bishop b5, trapping the queen for the second time. Maybe black can save themselves after knight e4. Well, you have queen e3, knight takes, queen takes, and black's queen still can't get out of. So Bibo, it is too late. One common line you're going to see over and over is this one. After a4, d takes, bishop c4, knight f6, and pawn to d3. Instead of pawn takes or bishop g4, some of your opponents who are not risk takers will be playing pawn to e6. Now against this, you can play knight c3 or queen e2. For example, knight c3, and then they'll play bishop b4, pinning your knight to the king. Then you go bishop d2. By the way, you are ready to take if black doesn't take on d3, so they just have to, and then you take back like this. We're still down a pawn because this is a gambit. After castle short, now you activate your queen like this. You really want to castle short due to these weaknesses, so most of the times you always want to castle long. For example, after knight c6, you can just castle long, and after knight d4, you go queen f2, c5, and now the game is back to equal. After knight f3 and knight takes, you can even take back with your g pawn since you want to start attacking on this side of the board. So this is how most of your games are going to be going. If you think I'm joking, well, see what is happening in the Lichess database. No one has ever lost in this position, all 100% win rate. Speaking of the Williams Gambit, there's only one variation that I hate the most. When you play pawn to f4, then all of a sudden black plays a different move order beginning with knight f6. This I don't like, although it's still playable. In this case, just imagine as if you are playing the reversed Dutch defense, and the way we play the Dutch is by putting our knight on f3. As the wind goes, play pawn to g3, bishop g2, and most importantly, remember to put your center pawns on the third rank like that, meaning your d pawn and your e pawn must sit on d3 and e3. Then you develop your queen's knight, or before doing that, play something like b3, then fianchetto your dark squad bishop and start playing chess. You put your king to safety. Once again, depending on what black is doing. Your main pawn break in the reversed Dutch will be c4, so keep that in your mind. But there's another weird formation that I preached about on this channel called the reversed Mujana formation, where you start with knight f3 first, stopping e5, and after something like d5, you then go c4 immediately. Point is, if pawn takes, at least you can play queen f4 check and get that back. When you look at this, it kind of looks like the Reti opening or the premature English. In most cases, black advances their d pawn, after which you can play pawn to b4 if you want, or simply d3, and your development will be very successful here. Very slow but successful. Because of bishop g4, I love starting with g3 so that if that happens, I'm just in time to play bishop g2. If black takes, I'll be glad to take back with my bishop, not messing up my pawns. If you see something like pawn to d3, some weird moves, here you can even play queen b3. You're going to attack that b7 pawn. Knight e5 also works, or if you're pressed, pawn to e3. But I can assure you to say nobody plays these kinds of garbage. Nobody will play pawn to d3. It's not just clear what they are doing. They play moves like knight c6 in this position. And then this is when you play pawn to d3, completing your Mujana formation reversed. This is where you just put your c and f pawns along the fourth rank like that, like the canines, and then fianchetto your bishop. If pawn to e6, you just castle short. This is very safe. Even Stockfish supports. Your long-term plan will be knight bd2, h3, king h2, and who knows, maybe even playing knight g5 to relocate that knight on e4. Life goes on. You also have other moves like a3 and pawn to b4. You start expanding on the queen side. Also bishop b2. This is very much playable even in classical games or in tournaments, serious matches. So that's what you do if black plays knight f6 on the first move. Try to play the reversed Mujana formation where you begin with knight f3 first and then go c4. Then play pawn to g3. Right, so let's put these ideas to test on the real board against real chess players. The question that begs to be answered is, will you watch up to the end? Let's see if you're going to be that person. And hey, remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you can't, share this video for God's sake. Let's go. f4. You see? So you will always see the move pawn to d5 on the first move, and this is when you want to play e4, which is the Williams Gambit. And then before playing pawn to d3, you want to develop your light square bishop first out of the pawn chain. Same stuff I was showing you in the introduction of this video. And then d3, then you pre-move knight e2 to create an impression as if you don't know what you are doing in the opening stage. Okay, I was expecting that my opponent was going to play something like bishop g4, or I mean just taking, you know what I mean. So this is slightly different, but I can just castle short still, because I still have that tactic which I showed you in the intro. You see, this guy is a 2171 rated player, yet they can't figure out this thing. Anyway, I still have to work for my meal, I should mention. This can be tricky. In this particular position, I guess black is doing fine due to the upper hand in material. They have me. I mean, I'm only remaining with 4 pieces, as you can see. Black has how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 pieces against 4 pieces. So black should be doing great. But you know, most people are not just good defenders. As I keep on saying. So let me start with c3. Why c3? I guess black wants to play bishop g7. That's why c3 will kind of make that, yep, that bishop look stupid. So let's take. Taking the b7 pawn looks risky, to be honest. It's like helping black to activate all his pieces and the rooks. Maybe let me just give a check. Let me leave this side of the board closed. Once again, this is a chess series about gambits. Gambits start work well in Blitz and Bullet. Let me place my knight either on e5 or on g5. That'll be great. Yeah, like here. Thanks to my opponent for donating 1 piece back. Okay, so I can take back. Yep. So you can see I won this game in like 17 moves. This is the Williams Gambit for you guys. Let's see what Stockfish has to say about this game, just to check if it is playable in classical chess. Let's see. Alright, here it is. I started with pawn to f4 because I was 90% sure that my opponent was going to respond with d5. I played e4, which is called the Williams Gambit, one of the gambits we are looking at in this special series. de was played. I played bishop c4. At this point, I was just doing everything that I recommended to do in the intro. You know what happens after pawn takes? We just want to pre-move knight e2. By that time, bishop f5 was kind of a strange move to me. The other move we see very often is bishop g4. But anyway, I just played knight e2 since I already pre-moved this, remember? At this point, Stockfish is like, it's not much of a stretch. Position is just like negative 1.7 in favor of black. It's like black is already up by 2 pawns or 1.5 a pawn. That's what Stockfish means by that. Pawn takes happened, then I castled short. Maybe if I was playing this in a rapid match or in a serious tournament match, I would have considered playing knight g3. That was going to come with an attack, and after bishop g4, perhaps I was just going to exchange queens by taking on d3 with my queen, like that. But I decided to castle short in an effort to win the black queen like that. Still, Stockfish thinks black is up by 2 pawns. That's the evaluation there, negative 2.1. They took my rook and I took back. I'm 100% sure that this position is very much holdable with black. If you give any chess master the black pieces, I guess they can be able to convert. See that black has 6 pieces, white has 4. In other words, black has a rook and a bishop for a queen. That will be the end game. Okay, d5 as I anticipated, so e4. Okay, let's hope this time we're going to have something interesting. I'm playing against a 2084 rated player. This guy has played bishop f5. What's happening with this move today? I don't know why most of these guys are interested in holding on to their e4 pawn, their extra pawn like that. Like in this position, I can even change my mind, play, yeah, something like bishop, or I mean pawn to g4 if I want. And that means the bishop will have to go back. But let me just test the waters. How about just removing knight e2 and that? So let me do this. I can play pawn to g4 here if I want, chase that bishop away, and even play pawn to f5. The position will be winning. But let me just try to do this for the sake of entertainment. Pap and then knight e2. Again, pre-moving knight e2 to create an impression as if I'm not patient. If pawn takes, I'll do that. Okay, looks like my opponent has eyes. They are able to see. I meant spiritual eyes. Now I can just take, because my knight was under attack for real. So knight c6 is kind of a big main solution. I don't believe in this move. Knight c3 anyways. So once again, if your game doesn't go as planned, play chess. Every coin has 2 sides. A good side and a bad side in this case. So if your traps don't work, or let's say if your gambit doesn't go as planned, you just need to go back to the basics. Play chess, real chess. What do I mean by that? Follow the basics of the opening. Develop all your pieces, put your king to safety, attack, and that's all. So you can see, just got back my pawn. And I guess in this position I'm doing great, if not better than black. For one, I can even play bishop s6, I guess. Yep, because I'll be able to walk away with a pawn. And with bishop s6, I'm attacking the queen. If you think about it, that's a clever move. Knight e7, can I still take? No, I'm still going to be up a pawn, I guess. Yeah, I'll just play bishop b7 now. Oh, I'll be up an exchange. I'll take the rook. Guess black should take back with a knight. Looks like a lot of people are not familiar with this opening called the Williams Gambit. Now, check. So from a gambit, now it turns out I'm just up a pawn. I don't need to lose this pep. Oh, black is going to take my d3 pawn. Understood. I'm just going to develop my dark squared bishop. Yep. They should be very careful. I want to castle long, or just play rook d1 next, pinning their bishop to the king. Although they have something like king c7 in the near future, if I'm not mistaken. But all in all, I'm sure I'm doing great in this position. They can't develop their dark squared bishop due to bishop takes. Look how behind they are in terms of development. So I can activate my h rook. Why playing rook h d1 instead of rook a d1? Because the h rook was very difficult to develop. So now, bishop e4. My bishop was under attack. I have a bishop pair advantage, a lead in development, and a more favorable structure, I guess. So this is, suffice to say, I've won the battle halfway, or maybe I'm winning the end game also. This is not good. Yeah, I should be able to checkmate my opponent. Yeah, maybe in 2. Okay, my opponent just resigned. But anyway, I think there was a mate in 2 in this position. Yeah, there was. I give you 5 seconds to find mate in 2 in this position. Let's go. I guess it was hard to find, but from the word go, I intended to play rook s6 in this position, putting the king in a box. You can see that it has no any safe squares to go to. And the point is, on the next move, I was going to play rook c4 checkmate. Oh, rook a4 checkmate. None of that was going to be stopped. For example, if this, I was going to play rook a4 checkmate. Or this, still I was going to play rook a4 checkmate. What else can black do in this position? Let's just try everything. This, I still had rook a4 checkmate. So rook a4 was the main problem in this position. And sadly, the black king wasn't moving. So nothing was going to stop me from playing rook a4 check. Not even the devil. Allow me to reintroduce this channel. Most of my viewers on my main channel, Casper Chess, are more interested to watch long form videos. And this is where this second channel comes in, where I post funny clips from my main channel and other interesting short form videos of chess traps that I can't post on my main channel. So be sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Last game. See what my opponent is going to do against my Williams Gambit. So e4, again, I intend to play bishop c4 and pre-move knight e2 after pawn to d3. Okay, this time we've seen something else. Pawn to f5. I guess I can still play d3 and pre-move knight e2. And knight c3, pre-move. Giving an impression as if I lost my mind. Once again, you can see that. So this game is all about pre-moves once again. And And I should be able to win this game from here. So knight c6, can just retreat my queen back to d3. That's what I said. Pawn to e5, I can just take, why not? And then take the pawn, then ready to castle short next. This will end very quickly. So I'm even planning to castle long now so that my rook can sit on d1. I mean my queen's rook. So there we see rook e8. So castle long. No discovery. I'm too fast. I guess you guys are able to catch up. Bishop e6. I think I can just take. I have queen h5 and that, if you think about it. So king e7, no queen h5 needed. Now I can, I guess, put my rook on f1, my king's rook, to prevent knight g4. Now I can give a check if I want, just to oversimplify the game. If you think about it, you can take, right? Yep, like I can just take the bishop. No need to calculate and attack the weaknesses. Can I continue attacking the weaknesses in this position? This pawn? Or maybe let me do this. I want to play queen b4 next and probably take that knight for free. Since that pawn will be pinned. I guess I can just take this pawn, why not? Okay, this is just absurd. Right, so playing against a 2345 rated opponent, and there we see pawn to d5, the top played move. So let's go the Williams Gambit. After bishop c4, I expect to see knight f6 by my opponent anyways, even though they can also decline my gambit with pawn to e6, sorry, e6. So there we see knight f6, and this is where we sacrifice another pawn, or rather a second pawn, and remove knight e2. So I just played this in advance, by the way. I don't know what my opponent is going to play next. Okay, bishop g4, and I just removed knight e2. So let's see. There we see they have taken, and now I can sacrifice my knight once again, knowing. Okay, so I covered this move in my tutorial video. By the way, if pawn takes, I was just going to win a free queen, just like I showed you in the intro. Now, whenever you see bishop takes e2, the best way you can do is just to take back with your knight. See, I wasn't expecting my opponent to take my knight anyways, because now the queen is free and I expect my opponent to resign. Yes. Okay, let's try another opponent. So that was the 2314 rated opponent, or let me just say 2300 rated player. Right, so now I'm playing against a 2335 rated opponent. This is probably the first time I'm seeing this move. Pawn to f5 on the first move. What should I do? And I don't remember covering this anyways. Let me sacrifice 2 pawns. Let me just try. Pop. Take my second pawn as well. So I wanted black to take so that I could take back with my left squad bishop and play queen h5, mate them on g6. Anyways, so my opponent played knight c6. I mean knight f6. Yeah, let me just take. And then develop my bishop with tempo. Now we see knight back to f6, though I was expecting something like pawn to d5. Let me go wild with the move pawn to g4. So the idea is just to go g5. There we see g6. Anyways, pawn to g5. If knight d5, I'm just going to take on g6, mess up black's pawn structure on the king side, and take the knight. Let's see what my opponent is going to do here. I guess there's no any sensible move. Maybe knight h5. But if knight h5, I'll just play f5. See what I'm talking about? Pap. Oh god, I don't listen. And I can just take. What is my opponent doing? What are these people doing today? I can just sacrifice my bishop as well. Look at this. Who does this to their fellow adult? Is this what adulthood is all about? Oh my god, I can't believe what I'm seeing with my own eyeballs. This is game over. This is a 23-35 rated opponent, guys, and I'm not pretending or, doing something. These are not paid actors. Try the Williams Gambit and you will see how many people will, fall for your dirty tricks and traps. It seems a lot of people aren't just aware of this beautiful and dubious Gambit. Before I proceed, go and check out 3 of my new courses: the newly updated Semislav Defense against d4, the Knight c6 Nimzowitsch Defense, and the mighty e5 Paris Defense, which is my best selling course till this date. And that's how you support this channel, by the way. Right, there we have a game. I'm playing against a 23-62 rated player. Yep, pawn takes. Now it's high time to develop the light squared bishop. I expect to see knight f6, because that's the top played move. Okay, there we see pawn to e6. Something different, finally. I think now I should develop my queen's knight. What else do I know? I just want to take. And after knight f6, what did I say in my tutorial video? You have to go after that e4 pawn with queen e2. So now the story has changed. I just want to get back my pawn, and that's what is happening now. So now I can take. If knight takes, I'm going to take back. Yep. Queen takes. Oh, there we see bishop c6 indirectly attacking my g2 pawn. I have the move pawn to f5 coming. There we see a6. I can just develop my knight. Bishop e7. How about pawn to d4? Or maybe I should have played f5 right away, but there's castle shot anyway, so there's no need to rush. And then develop my dark squared bishop on e3. Next, I want to play c3. I like my bishop along this diagonal. But let me just play bishop d3. Maybe one day I might sacrifice on h7 after h4. I don't want to lose my bishop pair. Next, I have pawn to c4, and I might even castle long, if you think about it. So clearly, my opponent declined the Williams Gambit. Nevertheless, I still continue doing what I do on this channel. Now castle long. Next, I'm ready to go g4, g5, h4, and the rest of that. In fact, here let me play g4. What can stop me from doing that? Pawn to g6, h5. Let's go to Zion. I should be careful of bishop takes rook. Pawn to c4. The knight should go back, probably to e7, I guess, or b6. Let's see what my opponent is going to do. So I still feel comfortable in this position. Besides, I have bishop takes b4 attacking the rook. Let me even take that. What can stop me? Oh, is that a tactic or something? Oh yeah, my opponent wants to take like this, I guess. So this was just too much pressure for my opponent, I guess. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be up an exchange. So I don't think sacrificing the light squared bishop was the wise thing my opponent could have done. Oh, there's checkmate here, so I should be very careful. I almost took the rook. So there's checkmate on b2. I think this is what my opponent was after, but I have bishop c3. And now this is bad. First of all, I can sacrifice on g3 if I want, or I can just attack the rook. That'll come with the discovery, by the way. So which one? The problem with bishop takes g6 is that my opponent can just play queen e7 or just slide. So I'm not gonna win anything apart from a pawn, just a pawn. So let me just win a rook in this position. Better I win a rook than a pawn. Yeah, after queen e7, this is when I can take the rook like this. Pop. That's how we take the rook. And this is even bad, you guys. I can even play pawn to c5 and win that rook or the knight. But before I do that, I need to take the bishop. Wow, this is crazy, you guys. So these are the consequences of declining the Williams Gambit. Never should you decline the Williams Gambit. Or else, oh wait a second, I don't have c5. My opponent can just play knight d5. So let me attack the queen, I guess, or just go h5. So h4, h5. Check. And attack the queen. I just need to team up my rooks. Oh, and I need to be very careful of this sniper rook. Yeah. I'm ready to exchange queens on the next move. Wait a second. If knight d7, I can even sacrifice and give a check, then that. Let's hope my opponent won't do that, because I'll be happy to take the rook and take everything. Take the knight. That'll be winning. And I shouldn't forget that my... Oh, wait a second. This is what I'm talking about. And I should not forget that this is a 23. Wow. Okay, now this is completely losing. I was thinking my opponent was going to maybe keep the queen on the board, but I had many pawns and a superior position, so I guess I was still winning. Oh, by the way, after the first 4 opening moves of the game, there's one line I didn't cover. I only looked at knight f6, which my opponent played in this game, but what if they play pawn to f5, protecting their e4 pawn in this position? Well, the best you can do is to go pawn to d3. You still want to take, and after pawn takes, you just humble your nerves and take back on d3 with your bishop. At least you're just down a pawn in this position, but that's the idea of a gambit. You have to be down a pawn. After knight f6, this is when I would have played knight f3. Or this is when you're supposed to play knight f3, and after bishop b4, because they want to cast a shot. Now you unpin your knight like this, so that if they cast a shot, you simply go queen e2. As you can see, the evil bar says the game is dead equal, as if we haven't lost a pawn. Due to our rapid development and piece activity, look at black's pieces that are just sleeping at the back rank. Maybe they might play knight c6 in this position, but this is when you can simply castle long. That's the idea in the Williams Gambit. So these are worst scenarios where your opponent declines the Williams Gambit, but to be honest, they have no reason to decline this dubious gambit. It just looks so dubious to decline. I don't know what else black should do in this position. Maybe rook e8, but this just allows us to go rook he1, centralizing all our pieces. And what else? There's no pawn to d5. Bishop takes will just help us activate our dark squared bishop on a better square. Maybe queen e7, who knows? But after this, we can just go h3 with the idea of going g4, sacrificing another pawn. By the way, for example, after bishop d7, yeah, we can even play pawn to g4. Just opening up the king side so that after pawn takes, we take back. And if knight takes, we simply sacrifice our bishop once again, like we always do. And if king takes, we go knight g5 check, and on the next move, get back our piece. And this looks dangerous, to be honest. If this, we can simply go queen h4 in this exact position, intending to go queen h7 next. What else? They might play bishop f5 just to stop queen h7 check, because you know these guys. But now rook h1 makes a lot of sense, because there's checkmate. And this is unavoidable if I'm not mistaken. Black is just losing in this position. So that's how you can play if black plays pawn to f5, back on move 4 after you play knight c3. So pawn to f5, just go d3 and start oversimplifying the game. You just take back. Your last card bishop was not doing anything on c4. So that's just how you continue playing the Williams Gambit if your opponent declines it. Right, so let's see what my opponent is going to do. I guess they're going to play pawn to d5, the top played move, after which I'm just going to play e4. Yep, there we see d5, e4, and now bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 pawn. I expect to see knight f6. Let's see. Yep, so this is where you want to pre-move d3 and knight a2 without even thinking twice about it. Okay, this still works. Now you want to play knight bc3 so that if pawn takes, you grab on f7. So see, exactly what I was talking about, you guys. These guys don't learn. This is a 2157 rated player, yet he still managed to fall for this dirty trick. So this is not good. And now I think my opponent should just resign. I mean, what is there to play for in this position? Nothing. I have h3, pawn to g4. This, if I want, I'll just take and do this. Dude, this is a 2157 rated player. Wow. Okay, there we see pawn to e6. A walk of shame. Let me just continue with my plan. I guess we'll see bishop f5 now. Pawn to g4. Oh, they're still going. Let me just do my thing. By the way, the idea is just to take on c7, just in case you... Oh, wait a second. I can even go pawn to g5. I even have that time. Flexing. I can do whatever I feel like at this stage of the game. There we see knight e4. Now I can just give a check. That's too much. And next, I want to win the knight like this. No, I won't be able to win it due to pawn takes. Wait a second, bishop takes. Saved by the f pawn. What is this? Now I can just give a check and probably mate in the next few moves. So I'm just going to take the dark squared bishop. Just winning a bishop, that will do for today. My opponent should have just resigned to save time. I need to play one more game. against a random chess player. Knight f6. Let me just take and give a check. How can I checkmate my opponent very quickly? I think I can just do this. Take the bishop. Oh, this will be checkmate. Not even taking a bishop. Let's have another game. This wasn't good. Not good. Okay, now I'm playing against a candidate master, 2296 by rating. And I'm sure my opponent thought I was going to play e4. Seems like they love playing the Caro-Kann defense. But unfortunately, I played f4 on move number 1. I can still go pawn to e4, right? Oh, this is a rated match. I did not intend to play a rated match, you guys. I don't do this quite often. So I almost wanted to abort the game because it didn't start the way I wanted it to start. So I have an option to go e5. Oh, since this is about a dubious gambit, let me play knight f3, allowing e4 to happen. Yep. Now I can go knight g5, right? Trying to take the e4 pawn, trying to take back the e4 pawn. In this position, I can go bishop c4. Yeah, let me just do that, because pawn to e6 is going to be played. So this is purely an accident, you guys. I did not plan to do this. This wasn't part of the idea. But anyways, knight c3. The idea is just to get back my pawn. Okay. Bishop e7. Now I can just take. Or maybe I should have taken back with my g knight. I do this. So now this is no longer a gambit because we have equal number of material, equal number of pawns with this candidate master. I can't wait to go queen f3. Oh, just the queen first. Not entertaining any sort of nonsense now. My opponent had his chance, but didn't make use of it. I guess this is the right time for me to develop my death squad bishop. I still feel comfortable in this position though. Okay, knight b6, attacking my light squad bishop. Let me just retreat my bishop. Can't lose my bishop pair. Oh, my opponent is playing with his knight. Let's trade. I don't mind. Now I even have a rook lift and rook h3. Yeah, I can just lift my rook and put it on h3 or on g3. I guess bishop b7 is coming after this pawn to b5 move. Why can't I start with knight g5? The idea is to go queen e4 if black plays pawn to h6. Okay, so black correctly played bishop b7. That was going to be fun. I was going to win rook, by the way, in case you didn't know what was happening there. Oh, I just lost my knight. I can still take back. This is not really losing. Seems like I'm behind time. Let me just activate my rook. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen d5. I think this is bad. Let me just go after the h7 pawn. I still feel comfortable in this position. I don't know about you guys who are watching out there. I feel so comfortable like a baby. And this reminds me of what my nephew told me yesterday. So I asked this boy what he would like to be in his 30s. Guess what he answered? Father Christmas. What's wrong with these kids of today? Anyway, I think he was just kidding. He was just joking. Yeah, like seriously, I asked the boy, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And his response was amazing. I go, I want to be Father Christmas. By the way, there's a little tactic here. Rook f6. I don't know what's wrong with this generation. Black can't take my rook, in case you are still confused, because this will be mate in 2. So they better play something else, probably rook e8, according to my wisdom. Oh, there will be no queen exchange. Don't have to exchange queens at this stage of the game. You don't have to trade off your powerful queen with your opponent's less active queen, by the way. This you can, I can even sacrifice my rook. I don't know how my opponent will defend against this mate. Checkmate is now unavoidable. Yeah, this is just checkmate. Some people just feel, lazy to resign. And this was a candidate master. That was bad sportsmanship, if I should say. Anyway, I feel good about my elbows. And by the way, this was a rated match, so I wasn't going to mess it or give it up. This is what I do to titled players who have no respect for kids like me. Oh god. Right, so probably the last game for today. f4, d5, e4, the Williams Gambit once again. Let's see what this opponent is going to do. Okay, so there we see pawn to e6. This is the second person who has declined my gambit, my crazy gambit. So what am I going to do? Again, knight c3. And then go after the e4 pawn. This is what I said in my tutorial video. So there are two sides of every gambit. It's either your opponent will accept your gambit or they will decline it. Nevertheless, never lose hope if that happens. Black just played queen d4 and now I should play pawn to d3. This is what I advised to do in my tutorial video. If pawn takes, you take back with a bishop. Okay, bishop b4, I said go bishop d2. The whole idea is to castle long. That's what you always want to do in the Williams Gambit or in the Williams Gambit. Pawn takes, bishop takes. Simple stuff. All is going well. I don't know how the end game will go. I'm now attacking the black queen, by the way. If I wanted, I would have castled long immediately. But let me just do this. Why not? There we see knight c6. Knight c6 runs into a3. Go back, please. Don't take. If black takes, they're just going to help me put my dark square bishop on a better square. Okay, this is a fancy move, but I don't believe in it. How about if I just take that piece? Yeah, let's just do it. And then I retreat my knight. I don't see anything here for black. Besides, I have pawn to c3, and then I'll defend my knight indirectly. So black just sacrificed a piece. How about if I go for quick checkmate? I know black has pawn to f5, but you might never know. Okay. There we see rook a1, just as I anticipated, but I have this anyways. I don't see anything on the queen side. I don't see how black can mate me anytime soon. They just donated a free piece, that's for sure. Now I can oversimplify the game if I want. How about if I just take? Because the more pieces I take, the more I give myself many chances to win the game. Because imagine, what's going to happen at the end of the day is I'm going to remain with an extra piece in the end game. How about we trade off another piece? I intend to take back with the queen. Yep. If pawn to c5, I'll just take, by the way. The idea is just to trade off all the big pieces. In fact, let me force a trade. Okay, this is not really forcing a trade. Yeah. Black had queen a2. Okay, now this is bad. I need to pay attention. Oh, this is really bad for black. I have bishop d4. Now they're going to lose a piece in this position. Probably the rook or the queen. Oh, okay, that's a clever move. Okay, I have this intermediate move. And my opponent just resigned. And that's all for today, you guys. Let me know which episode you liked the most in the comment section down below. And if at all you would love to see more of these kinds of content where I compile my favorite videos in one collection, of course, to make it easier for you guys, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.